think one of the easiest things that we can do to not only be sustainable, but to give back to and regenerate the earth is to compost. Vermicomposting, or worm composting, is one of my favorite composting methods. I started my first worm compost bin around 10 years ago when I was still living in my condo in California. The next version I used was a 2-bucket system that I have right here. It's actually much smaller than the first system I used, but I needed something super small because I was living in a tiny little cabin in Colorado and I need something that would just fit under the countertop. As you see, the bottom bucket is just a normal bucket there to collect the worm juice, and then I have all the holes drilled in for the drainage, and then there's a hole in the top for oxygen airflow. I didn't originally design this system for worms. It was to wash my clothes before I had a washer. So if I were to do it all over again, I would make the holes much smaller because the worms did get through pretty easily. And then I wouldn't have one giant hole in the lid. I'd probably have little holes in different spots. But recycling and reusing materials was much more important to me than having something that was perfect. This new worm compost tower that I made is something I'm really excited about. It's composed of 3 bins, and the top 2 are where the worm composting magic happens, and then the bottom bin is just for collecting the worm juice. It's still pretty new, so I haven't yet harvested any compost from it, and I've only been working with the top bin, so I'll just explain to you how it's supposed to work. The top 2 bins are interchangeable. I drilled drainage holes in the bottom of both, and then I drilled holes around the top of both bins for oxygen and airflow. Unfortunately, I used the wrong drill bit, but that's all I had on hand, and it worked. I've started filling the top bin only, and once that's full, I'll move the middle bin to the top, and then I'll start filling that bin. The concept of this DIY composting tower is that when that middle bin is moved to the top and you start filling it, the worms in that first bin, once all that food is consumed, they're going to crawl up through the drainage holes into the top bin, and they're going to start working on that one. And this should technically make the harvest a lot easier. You won't have to dig through a bunch of worms, but we'll see when I actually get to that stage. Now I have a question for you. Have you ever tried composting before? And if you have, what is your favorite method of composting? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.